But this doctor assured me that if the time was right and that the patient, the right patient, that he would show me what this ultrasound guided abortion looked like, because it'd be a good learning experience for me, and I thought that'd be great. So the time came, I was called back to the room. My job during the abortion procedure was to hold the ultrasound probe in place on the woman's abdomen. And so we got everything ready and measured out. The baby was 13 weeks. Now, yes or no, 13 weeks, does the fetus have arms and legs? Yes. Fingers and toes? Yes. Heartbeat? Yes. Brain activity? Yes. Eyes and ears? Yes. Internal organs formed? Yes. Can the baby hear its mother's voice? Yes. Everything is completely there. Everything is formed. Everything. If the baby was strong enough at 13 weeks, this child could live outside the womb because everything's there. The child is only about this big at that point in time, and we can even tell if it's a boy or a girl. Everything's there. And I had seen thousands of ultrasounds before. I've been pregnant 3 times. I've had 2 abortions. I have my daughter, Grace, who's 4. I've seen thousands of ultrasounds, including ultrasounds with my own daughter. And I was a POC technician. POC is just a really nice sterile way of saying products of conception. It's a nice sterile way of saying baby. And I was a POC technician. That's the person that after the abortion's done, you take everything out of the jar that's collected and you dump it into a dish and you sort through it and you find all the parts and you have to collect them and make sure everything's there. I had done that. Didn't bother me. I seen the ultrasounds. Didn't bother me. None of that bothered me. I mean, I was safe. I was a lifer. I was going to be there forever. I was going to retire with this group. I mean, they knew this type of procedure wasn't going to bother me. I would like to tell you that at some point in time, when I was pregnant with my daughter, and I was experiencing this pregnancy, and I loved being pregnant, and I would like to tell you that at some point in time, I was like, oh wow, gosh, I'm pregnant with a baby, and look what I'm doing with these babies. I would like to tell you there was some kind of light bulb that went off, and some kind of parallel, or no, nothing, never. It was just very simple to me. I just was like, I've made 3 choices. I've been pregnant 3 times. I made 3 choices. 2 times I aborted. 1 time I chose to parent. It was just very simple. It was very black and white to me. When is it a baby? I don't know. I don't care. I mean, that was kind of my attitude. I don't know. When does life begin? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Abortion's illegal. It must be okay. I'm just going to help women get abortions. I'm going to make sure they're safe. I mean, that was kind of it for me. And so I didn't have this profound moment anytime before, right then, September 26, 2009. But at that moment, as I was watching this ultrasound screen, never before had I ever thought about pregnancy before. Never before had I thought about my daughter Grace, ever. 8 years. Until right then. I remembered the ultrasound that we had of Grace when I was 12 weeks pregnant. And we were so excited. Every day you're pregnant, it feels like, 10 days because you're just waiting for that really good ultrasound that you have. And we were really excited and went, and it was the first ultrasound we had, where she didn't look like a little bean, She looked like a kid, and we were so excited, and we printed off like 100 copies of the picture, and we're like, oh, giving it to everybody and strangers on the street, and I'm like, oh, is she beautiful? And she's just like me, and we were so thrilled, we were so joyous, this is our baby, this is our kid, we're so excited, and then suddenly I'm thinking about that. I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, this baby up here on the screen is even more developed than Grace was. What is this going to be? What is this going to look like? I was trying to imagine, like, what am I going to see on this screen? Because this is a whole baby I'm looking at here. I was trying to imagine it, and then I was just like, ugh. stop trying to imagine it. Surely it's not going to be that bad. It's not going to be what you're thinking. It's going to be okay. And I saw that cannula, that same instrument, that same abortion instrument that's hooked up to the suction machine. I saw that start to go into the woman's uterus, and I thought, okay, snap back to reality, stop being so emotional, it's going to be fine. And I saw that probe go right up to the side of the child, and nothing happened, and I thought, well, of course something's happening, right? Because it's only 13 weeks. The baby's only 13 weeks, and babies don't feel anything at 13 weeks, right? I mean, that's what Planned Parenthood has told me, and they don't lie, right? I mean, they wouldn't lie to me. They wouldn't lie to their star director, their employee of the year. They wouldn't lie to me. And I kept thinking of all these women that sat across from me, and these thousands of women that had asked me, Abby, will my baby feel this? I wanted to know. It's not matters. Will my baby feel this? And I had given them this answer that Planned Parenthood had given me, this scripted answer that all the abortion counselors had. It was, no, the fetus has no sensory development until 28 weeks. I believed it. The women believed it. We had to believe it. Because if we didn't believe it, then we had to start facing what else was untrue. And so I was kind of reciting, I was reassuring myself that this thing, whatever it was, whether it was a baby or a fetus or whatever I thought it was, whatever this was on the screen, this thing was not going to feel what was taking place. And I was reassuring myself of that in my head, and I was repeating that line, no, the fetus has no sensory development, 28. So I was reciting that over and over again in my head, and I'm looking up at the screen, and all of a sudden, as the probe is continuing to move toward the side of this child, the baby jumps. And the child starts to move, and its arms and legs begin to flail around, and the child starts to retreat and recoil and tries to move away and tries to move to the other side of his mother's womb. It would be just like if someone came in here right now with a weapon, and we would all get up and we would run. We would scream, we would holler, we would grab our friends, and we would run out of here. We would have a place to run. We would have a place to retreat. We would have a place to go, somewhere to run, to be safe. There was no place for this child to run. He was trying to run, but he was running upright against a wall. And eventually he moved so far, he moved and he was backed up against the other side of his mother's uterus, and there was nowhere else for him to go. And he had moved far enough where the doctor had to reposition the cannula, his abortion instrument. And when he did that, he asked he asked the surgical technician to turn on the suction, and he said, "Beam me up, Scotty." In just a few seconds, she turned on the suction, and the abortion, in just a few minutes, it was over, and the uterus was empty, and the screen was black, and that was it. And I stood there thinking, God, that's it. That's choice, right? That's what so many people like me have been standing up for. That's what we've been advocating for. Really? Whose choice? Because that little boy that day, that little tiny child, he didn't have a choice that day. There was no choice for him. None.